Hello, welcome to another practical. So we continue looking at our people's fights. This is not mine. I did not watch it in advance. So as with previous practical, it will be a live commentary. So we have standard Hookbill, it looks like, with a tracking disruptor. Afterburner, double web, scrum tracking disruptor in medium slots, rockets in high slots, and damage control plus ancillary rep in low slots. And we are in position in a complex, and we have a comet or two comets outside. Okay, comet warps in. Okay, I don't like a positioning of a hookbill. So your distance is fine. It's 13 kilometers against Comet. It's okay. It's a bit too far, but it's okay. But you are burning at full speed to the Comet at keep at range at 8.5. And the problem is, if this is a Blaster Comet and this Blaster Comet just charges towards you, you will close the distance very quickly because you have 1 kilometer per second going towards him, and he will go with an overheated afterburner 1.5 kilometers per second towards you. So this is 2.5 kilometers per second closing distance, and you will just close this 13 kilometers in 5 seconds. So by the time you lock him up and apply webs, you will sit on top of his comet. It's still fightable, of course, because you will still have a control, but it's wrong to give up your control advantage like this, your range advantage like this. Of course, if it's a rail comet, it's kind of fine, but in any case, this is a mistake. What I would do is I would stop around like 11 kilometers. This is already you should be stationary or moving away from a comet at this distance, because 11 kilometers, if he starts charging towards you, you need to kind of slow him down with webs first before you go into keep at range or auto orbit, etc. In general, these auto orbits or keep at range commands, they work only after the control is established. If a control is not established, they will just get you in the trouble. Okay, so this is a rail comet. Good. So our mistake in the first seconds of a fight did not really matter. It's still not ideal, but it's doable. So the comet will try to stay at around 9 kilometers. Rail comet. He really does not have any incentive to be close, because rail tracking is pretty bad. So this is just a pure Scrum Kite against Scrum Kite TPS race. Okay, and this is a properly fitted comet. So here you need to, when you fight against rail comets, you need to look at, do we have a newt or not. If I don't have a newt, this is an incorrect fit generally, because rail comets without a newt are very vulnerable to close range orbiting. You can just click orbit 500 and you will mitigate almost the entire DPS from rails. And you can kill a comet in something like even like a dual web kestrel, for example. If you are in position, you just click orbit 500, he cannot move because you have a control, and he cannot apply when you kill his drones, and it's GG. But if the comet does have a newt, when the newt protects him against this close range tactic, because you will run out of cap before you will kill a Comet, generally. So you have to stay at scrum range, so far enough away from the effective nuke range. So in this case, it looks like it will be just pure scrum kite against scrum kite. And we should be winning this very comfortably, because we have a track and disrupt. But we need to move a bit further away, which we are doing. Okay, the difference between the orbit and keep at range is pretty minimal here, because you don't really mitigate a lot of damage by orbiting in this situation, but technically orbiting is better, because you are fighting against a weapon with poor tracking, and there is really no reason to minimize your transversal if you still want as much transversal as possible. Okay, so this looks all good. Yeah, and I think one mistake that Comet makes here is that he stays on antimatter. You can see that the DPS is essentially 0 from his railguns. And you, as a Comet pilot, you should see it pretty quickly, and you should switch into longer range ammo like uranium, for example, and kind of mitigate the tracking disruptor. But I don't think Comet pilot realizes that. I think Hookbill still would win this, but it should be a bit closer. Um, yeah, I think Hookbill kind of goes a bit too far. The problem with going beyond 10 kilometers is that you have to hit the entire medium rack. When you hit the entire medium rack, you will burn something out in a second. I would go a bit closer, especially considering that I'm probably winning this fight on DPS. Yeah, 9 kilometers, and now you don't need to hit your webs anymore. So this is another small mistake. Yeah, and you really should stop ancillary rep by now, because your cap is essentially dead, and you really need to keep all of your control running. Because if you get the next cycle in accidentally and it nukes your cap, you're dead, as practically dead. And this guy is gonna burn out on the next cycle. Yeah, okay, this is really bad micro. Yeah, this is really bad micro. This is actually going pretty close. So what happened? Hookbill burned out his tracking disruptor. So now it's a Hookbill without one medium slot. And Comet is doing again full DPS because the tracking disruptor dropped. Hookbill did not manage his cap properly, so now it's a really tight. He probably won't be able to get another cycle of until of a rep, and it wasn't necessary either, because the cap is way more important at this stage than additional cycle of ancillary rep without paste. So this should have been turned off like at the end of a previous cycle. And probably even before that, to be honest. And now if you are so far past your peak region, if you start having like issues with cap and you drop your control modules, this is really bad. Because once you drop webs, your DPS will drop as well massively. Okay, so a bit of a good luck. The ship automatically turned off ancillary rep because it didn't have enough cap. It could have been a lot worse. For example, you could have just enough cap to get another cycle in. When you get another cycle of rep in, and when everything turns off because you don't have any cap anymore. But this was a bit lucky for the Hookbill. Okay, and he does have just enough cap to keep all the control running. And now, yeah, and now Comet is dead. Oh man, and even AB burned off on the final cycle. Yeah, this was a bit of a messy micromanagement from the Hookbill. These fights really should not be this close. You are in position, you have full control. You just essentially just chill at 9 kilometers and you're gonna win just on pure DPS numbers because you have better control. This was like 1 or 2 seconds away from disaster. But yeah, this is quite instructive as well. So hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next practical.